Hey you guys, Coach Liz here. All right, last week we talked a little bit about metabolic health and what that is. And this month we're just spending some time talking about how to enhance or improve your metabolic health because about 90% of Americans struggle with metabolic dysfunction. And like I mentioned, a lot of those symptoms are going to be low energy, hunger, sugar cravings, gaining weight around your middle section, getting that visceral dangerous fat. It could also be imbalanced hormones, or even some things more serious like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, inflammatory issues, even things like cancer are often caused by metabolic dysfunction. So, how do we fix it? That's what we're going to talk about this month. And metabolic health is the way that your body processes energy or food, right? And so that's why it's correlated with your metabolism. And so I'm going to talk about how to enhance your metabolic health, how to increase your metabolism, how to not just lose weight, but be able to have an easier time keeping it off because we all know we don't want to yo-yo diet or white knuckle through or gain weight and lose weight. We want to really have a clear understanding on how to feed our bodies well. And that's really what the metabolic reset is all about, is just getting your body more into balance and improving your metabolic health and your metabolism. So, in Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health book, now if you don't have this and you want to be able to listen to it for free in the audio version, send me a message. I can hook you up with the free audio version of this. But there's two elements in this book that talk a lot about inflammation. And more importantly, actually, blood sugar balance, because inflammation and blood sugar go hand in hand. And next week, I'm actually going to talk more about inflammation, but this week it's all about blood sugar. And so in Elements 2.4, he talks about a low glycemic portion control approach to optimal health. And then in part 2.7, the science of healthy eating and weight loss. And in those elements, he talks so much about the glycemic index and blood sugar balance. Now, you've probably heard of blood sugar when it's related to like diabetics. They for sure have to be concerned about their blood sugar. But did you know that it affects everyone? Whether you are on medication for it or not, like your blood sugar is correlated with your metabolic health. When your blood sugar spikes and is elevated because of what you're eating, your liver has a hard time processing that much sugar. And that's also the cue when your blood sugar spikes. Let's say you eat something that's high glycemic, like sugar, white flour, those things that spike your blood sugar. Your body has to release insulin from the pancreas. It releases insulin. The insulin goes and grabs that glucose that's in your bloodstream, and its job is to get it back to balance. So what does it do with that glucose? It goes and stores it. First, it's going to store it into your muscles. That's why having more muscle helps you, because it has more places to store that sugar. And then once your muscle stores are full, so if you're eating a lot of things that have spiked your blood sugar, a lot of glucose, then those fill up, or maybe you don't have a lot of muscle, then it fills up faster. Then it's going to go store it into your fat cells. And that is why you gain weight, especially when you are eating and your blood sugar is off balance, when you're not eating to balance your blood sugar. And your body can actually not burn fat when the blood sugar is elevated. So if you're eating things that spike your blood sugar, even if you're in a calorie deficit, your body has to get that energy from somewhere, and it's going to start eating your muscle. That's where we see the muscle loss that often happens in a calorie deficit when you're not eating the right things that balance your blood sugar. So learning to balance your blood sugar is key, not just for weight loss, but for your overall health. It helps your body process that energy better when your blood sugar stays stable. It also helps control your hunger and cravings. You're not going to have those sugar cravings and those drops, the energy drops and spikes, if you're eating to balance your blood sugar. So it's important to learn how to do that. Now, I'll just give you a few tips right now because I like to keep this short. But if you check out that element on what foods to be eating, how to pair the right foods together, how often to be eating, those are all tricks that make it very simple to keep your blood sugar more stable. First of all, eating small balanced meals help keeps your blood sugar more stable, just like a baby does every few hours, or just like if you go on a road trip, you put gas into your gas tank every few hours, just like your body. So if you overfill it, if you're only eating one large meal a day, or if you're kind of just snacking all day long, your body has no time to regulate the blood sugar. So we teach small balanced meals every few hours, but the right combination of low inflammatory foods that just keep your blood sugar balanced and keep that energy more stable. What kind of things should you be eating? Of course, if you're doing the metabolic reset, it's all laid out for you. So you're right on track if you're following that. If you're choosing your own foods, that's going to be things that help balance your blood sugar. Number one, protein. If you eat protein every time you eat, your blood sugar will stay more balanced. Also, healthy fats and fiber help keep that more balanced. So those are like the key things that you want to be eating, especially if you're eating something that's higher carbohydrate, that would just spike your blood sugar. Even if it's a healthy choice, it still would spike your blood sugar. Like fruit or grains, those spike your blood sugar. So when you are pairing the right foods together, it keeps it more balanced. So protein every time you eat keeps you more satisfied, but also keeps that blood sugar more balanced. Also, the order in which you eat your food makes a difference in your blood sugar balance. So, eating fiber at the beginning of your meal makes a huge difference with your blood sugar. So, trying to have vegetables first before you eat anything else really helps to keep that blood sugar balanced. So, eating that in order of fiber and protein. And then if you're having carbs, depending on what stage of your health journey you're on, having that last is most important. And then also what you do with your muscles affects your blood sugar. So if you can go for a walk after you eat, or even just do some lunges or go up and down the stairs, or if you can't get up and move, if you just with your feet do some calf raises that you're just like lifting your foot up and down so it's working your calf, those calf muscles are actually a huge factor in keeping your blood sugar balanced. So that's a muscle that actually helps to balance your blood sugar. So as you're sitting there eating or after you're eating, if you can't get up and go for a walk, at least lifting your feet, your calves up and down will actually help to regulate your blood sugar. So a walk is such a good habit after a meal. Just go for a walk. Also, making sure you get enough water helps to keep that glucose in your bloodstream a little bit more diluted instead of so concentrated. A couple other things that can affect your blood sugar. Of course, eating carbs we mentioned on that empty stomach. So if you're ever eating a dessert, having it at the end of the meal after you've already had fiber and protein, that's really going to help to not spike your blood sugar versus eating it on an empty stomach. So when you eat those carbs, like I mentioned, makes a huge difference. And then water, exercise, sleep affects your blood sugar. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to notice your blood sugar is less regulated. You're going to crave more hunger, more cravings because it affects your hormones and it sends out those hunger cues and affects your blood sugar. So if you are sleep deprived, you're probably going to crave more carbs and it's going to affect your blood sugar. And so that's a huge thing. Also, stress can affect your blood sugar. So learning to, when you're feeling that stress building up, it not only affects your blood sugar by making you crave more junk food when you're stressed or emotionally eating, right? That often happens, but even physically, that stress can affect your blood sugar. So, getting more oxygen into your body can help your blood sugar. So, when you're noticing that you're feeling stressed, just taking some 10 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, and getting 10 good breaths deep into your belly can help to relieve that stress and help regulate your blood sugar a little bit better. Also, acidic foods help, like vinegars specifically or lemon juice, help to balance your blood sugar. So having a little bit of vinegar in your dressing, like on a salad before you eat, can help. So apple cider vinegar, in a little bit of water. It really doesn't matter as long as it's not like balsamic vinegar that has sugar, but any other vinegar can help with your blood sugar. So those are a few little tricks on how to balance your blood sugar more. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. So maybe just pick one thing that I talked about to purposely do to keep your blood sugar more balanced, whether it be trying to eat like on a schedule instead of just snacking mindlessly throughout the day, eating every few hours, having something with protein every time you eat, trying to eat your veggies first, getting some veggies so that the fiber kind of helps absorb some of the food instead of that flushing right through you into your bloodstream. It helps to slow down that digestion, makes your body work a little bit harder when you're eating fiber. That's a good one. Or going for a walk, drinking more water, getting your sleep. Those high five habits that we talk about all the time are all things that affect your blood sugar. And when we get our blood sugar balanced, it really makes a difference with our metabolic health, with our metabolism. It helps our body actually burn the fat instead of the muscle when we're keeping that blood sugar balanced and we're getting the protein that we need. And so those are things that are going to, like I mentioned, not just help you lose weight, but help you be able to keep it off and feel your best and create a long-term healthy lifestyle. All right, let's balance our blood sugar this week. Have a good week.